All right, if you've been listening to my videos on styles of communication, we have covered passive communication, aggressive communication, and passive aggressive communication. And today we will discuss the best of all four styles of communication, which is referred to as assertive communication. So when someone is using assertive communication, they express their feelings, wants, and needs in ways that do not violate other people. They advocate for themselves. And unlike that aggressive communicator that we talked about in aggressive communication, again, they take the other person's feelings and needs into consideration as well. Ultimately, they seek a win-win. And what do I mean by a win-win? I mean that both people, if they have an interaction, at least feel that their needs were met to some degree. Sometimes that requires a compromise. And sometimes the other person just may feel like they were at least heard, and that can be healthy for a relationship. Some other characteristics of assertive communication are the person tends to use I statements. If you were following with me in my video on aggressive communication, right, that aggressive communicator tends to use you statements. Well, the assertive communicator uses I statements. And I'll give you an example of an I statement. Let's say that one day I got up and I said, oh, I have to mail this letter certified today. And it really needs to get out. It's important. And I said to my wife, you know what, honey, would you kindly mail this letter for me certified today? And she says, sure, just leave it on the coffee table. And I leave for work thinking, I love my wife. I am so lucky. And then I go to work. I have a great day at work. I come home, walk through the front door, go into the living room, and guess what's on the coffee table? The letter. Now, if I approach my wife in an aggressive manner, like we talked about in aggressive communication, I might say something like, you are so unreliable, but then that would lead to conflict for sure. Instead, I should use an I statement. And this is how you construct an I statement. You say, I feel, you tell the person how you feel, then you tell the person why you feel the way you feel. And then finally, the last part, which people often forego, which can be oftentimes the most important part, is you tell the person what you'd like for them to do in the future to prevent this from happening. Oftentimes what we do is when someone does something that we don't like, we assume that they know what they need to do in the future, but that's not always the case. And then we find ourselves experiencing the same problems over and over again. So let's go ahead and construct an I statement using the information or the scenario I created earlier with my wife mailing the letter. So if I come home and find the letters on the coffee table, I might say something like, I feel frustrated, and tell her why, because you said you would mail the letter. And then now what do I want her to do in the future? If you find that your schedule is too hectic in the future, I'd really appreciate if you would just let me know and I'll find out another way to accomplish what I need to accomplish. That's probably going to go over a lot better than me saying to my wife, you are so lazy, you are so unreliable, right? So we want to get into the habit of using this style of communication. All right, some other characteristics of assertive communication is that the person exhibits good eye contact. They speak in a calm, clear tone of voice, regardless of how the other person is speaking. They have a relaxed body posture, and they don't allow others to abuse or manipulate them. They might feel like, you know what, we're entitled to express ourselves respectfully to one another. They might think, you know what, I speak clearly, honestly, and to the point. They might feel like I place a high priority on having my rights respected, and may think, you know what, I am responsible for getting my needs met in a respectable manner. All right? Again, seeking the win-win. So the Word of God talks about this and speaking in ways that are going to be beneficial to your relationship. And we find in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, it says, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Right? Think about your talk, the words that come out of your mouth, building up your spouse. It should be something that's good for them to hear. And let there be grace in the communication when you're communicating with your spouse. And then another verse that I really love is Proverbs 25:11, which says, "A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver," right? It is something that is so precious to say the right thing at the right time, the right way. That's what assertive communication does. And you know what? Maybe you've been living your life using a passive communication, maybe for 10, 20, 30 years, or maybe it was aggressive communication, or maybe it was passive aggressive communication. What I'm asking you to do now is to say, you know what? Those styles of communicating have not been working for me, and I'm going to try this new style. And think of it as lifting a weight, right? If you've been lifting that passive aggressive weight, let's say for 20, 30, 40 years, you are efficient and effective at being passive aggressive. What I'm asking you to do now is to put that weight down and pick up this new weight called assertiveness, right? It's going to be awkward at first and very difficult to do. But you know what? The more you do it, the more efficient and effective you'll get at doing it. So I encourage you to start practicing assertive communication in your marriage. Your relationship will benefit greatly. And if this sounds difficult to you, it might, particularly if your marriage is on the verge of divorce. But remember, nothing is too hard for the Lord. Thank you for tuning into this channel. I'll be posting messages regularly, so subscribe to the channel so that you can get access to them and apply them to your marriage as soon as they are released. You can also like my Facebook page, Jesus Saves Marriage, for more scriptures to help enhance your marriage. If you found this video a blessing to you and your relationship, please like the video, share it with a friend, and if you feel led, leave a comment as well. Thank you. Have a blessed day and a blessed marriage.